Well, Stacy Abrams is the new preacher, I guess, at Elizabeth Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, or at least she preached recently, and we're going to talk about what she had to say. She had to say that she is a woman of faith, and that her faith leads her to believe that women should be able to kill their children. I mean, this is what she believes in. This is the thing, it appears, that she believes in. We're going to talk about that and much, much more. Actually, not much more. It's just going to be more that she said that's absolutely outrageous and nonsense. This is part of our Woke Preacher Clips response videos series. Hi, by the way, I'm Josh Barnes, the pastor of a church here in New Hampshire. And this is the show where we're unashamed to look at political, social, cultural, and theological issues from a biblical worldview. And this is one of the beautiful episodes where we get to respond to something that's both political, social, cultural, and theological. Both, all of those. Anyway, this over here is Justin Barnes, and we're ready for the show. Let's jump right in. Justin, Stacy Abrams, I should probably call her Dr. Stacy Abrams because of her doctorate in theology, right? I mean, she's known for her theology and her ability to preach the gospel, right?
Well, no, really, I think her highest title that you ought to be addressing her by would be President of the World. I believe that's what Star Trek gave her. So, I believe that's probably the highest achievement she has. She's the kind of person that it seems like nobody wants around, but she keeps finding her way around. She still believes she won like several years ago and is the governor because denying elections is okay in some circumstances, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
They just make up the rules as they go. But yeah, so I believe that's the title you need to use for her. But theology might be right below. There's president of the earth and then theological guru right below that.
But never fear when someone in politics is going to mishandle and misuse the scripture. Point of view is here to help smack them down. That's what we're here for. That's what we are hoping to do. All right, let's see. Now, all right, maybe we'll find some common ground and agree with her about something in this clip. By the way, you can go to Woke Preacher Clips on YouTube. Woke Preacher Clips is the name of the channel, and find tons of this type of content. It's super depressing, but it is super informative and helps you know what else is out there. It's very sad, but we like to take those clips every now and then and respond. I probably do a couple of these this week. Here's Stacy Abrams.
And for those in this room who are women, I come from a tradition of faith, and I believe that I have the right to control my body and control my future, and that belongs to me alone. And I don't want to make the choice for anybody else, but I don't want some man who's never met me in my doctor's office with me.
All right. Here's the thing that there's more. There's a lot more, guys. Let's just talk about that piece right there. Because she says, I'm a woman of faith and I believe. Okay, all right. Well, what do you believe? If you're going to describe your faith to us, Stacy, what are like the key tenets of your faith? Well, the key tenets of her faith is that a woman should be able to have the right to murder her child. That's what she goes immediately. The first thing she says when she tries to describe her faith to people is that she believes women should have the right to murder their children. This is tenet number one in the faith of Stacy Abrams. This has become, abortion has become more than just a political talking point. Abortion is a faith system now for people on the left. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's about 17 things to touch on in that one little clip. She says for women, which I'm still waiting on a definition from someone with her worldview, because
what is
they
woman?
don't believe women exist. They have not redefined woman; they have undefined woman, to the point where, Stacy, I hate to tell you this, but what you just said was extraordinarily transphobic, because you ought to say pregnant people or people who can be pregnant, because in your worldview, men can give birth. So you just did a transphobia, and I hope you know that. Secondly, you forgot the rest of the the rest of the spiel you're supposed to go off. You only used one of the buzz phrases. You said for women. You needed to say and for people of color and the marginalized and the indigenous peoples, because they're disproportionately affected by these issues. You have to go on more of a spiel than that. So really missed an opportunity there. This speech is really starting off weird. Then you say, as a person of faith, would love to know which faith, because it's clearly not Christianity. So just waiting for clarification on that. There's just it. But what you have to understand, the unfortunate problem here that I think conservatives need to acknowledge and be ready to address and do better with, is the fact that the reason this is happening across the Democratic, like the ads I'm seeing in my area are all about abortion, because the Democrats see this as a winning issue because of Roe v. Wade and all that. And polling shows that Democrats do benefit from this issue a little bit. Now, how much is debatable, but the fact of the matter is the whole reason she's going there is because she's trying to win an election, and she thinks this is how you do it. The worst part of it, though, is that she thinks this is how you do it in a Baptist church in Georgia, and apparently she's right. So that, to me, is the biggest concern of all. People trying to co-opt the faith to say their stupid platitudes is not new on either side of the aisle. So, yeah, we can dismantle that. It's just the fact that she's doing this in a church to people who profess faith in Christ, and that's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, and that's exactly the thing. I mean, but it reveals two really depressing things. Not shocking. I can't say shocking anymore. It's not shocking, but it's certainly concerning. And that is, first of all, as you mentioned, the state of churches that claim to be churches that are going to say, "Hey, yeah, this is part of our faith. This is one of the tenets of our faith is abortion." I mean, that's not are they are not indifferent. They believe that the right for a woman to murder her children is a tenet of their faith. That's concerning. That's terribly concerning. But also, it's concerning how the Democrats are making this the issue that they feel is going to be the one that causes them to win this election cycle. They really are confident that this is something that the American people feel so strongly that women should be able to murder their children. They're not indifferent about it. They're outraged, they think, that women won't be able to murder their children at the same rate as they were able to murder them before. That they've made this such an important issue. Stacy Abrams, I'm going to try to find the clip here while you say whatever you're going to say next. But Stacy Abrams just recently came out saying that the economy issue isn't an issue. What will help the economy is killing more children, more abortions. That's what we need to fix the economy.
Yeah, and a couple things there. I mean, the fact of the matter is the Democratic platform, one of the major tenets of it revolves all around sex and sexuality. And one of the foundational pillars of the Democrat platform is the sacrament, as some people call it, of abortion. It is one of the foundational, fundamental parts of their platform. You have to have, because what they're trying to sell to people is free, easy, cheap, consequence-free sex, which is a complete abandonment of a biblical worldview. But she's promoting this in a church so you can go out and sleep with whoever you want and just abort the consequences of it. You can go completely contrary to God's design for human sex and sexuality, and there is no consequences for it, except for we've seen that there are. You can completely change your physical sex and have shows of a very highly sexual nature in front of kids and things of that nature, not to mention adults. They're both wrong, but now we're doing it in front of kids too. So this entire Democratic platform, so many of these issues from transgenderism, abortion, homosexuality, all of that, is all revolving around this idea of sex. It's a very powerful, motivating thing because it's very biologically driven. So, but the problem is that she's in a place where people are told to deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow Christ. Or at least that's what, in theory, you should be told, because that's the word of Christ. They're trying to teach you, indulge yourself, give in to the flesh, and do everything do whatever feels good. in a place where you should be told to deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow Christ. The other problem I have here, the other thing to mention, is how she assumes some things are linked that she never tries to bridge the gap. And granted, she just has a bunch of clapping seals in front of her, so it's not like she has to. But she says, I'm a person of faith, and I believe that I have the right to decide whatever I want to do with my body. God never told you do. But what this fundamentally is a low view of God. God has the right to tell you what to do with your body. Fact of the matter is, there are people who have the right to tell you what to do with your body. Husbands have the right to tell wives what to do with their body. Wives have the right to tell husbands what to do with their body. God has the right to tell you what to do with your body. There's always people who have the right to tell you what to do with your body. You are not a completely autonomous individual. And if you believe the Bible, this is not a problem for you. But this is not a church that cares about the Bible or what God actually said on these issues, or else Stacy Abrams wouldn't be within 40 miles.
Yeah, the idea that a man is going to be sitting in the doctor's office with her, telling her what to do, is first nonsense. But hang on, God telling you what to do with your body is absolutely okay. On the Christian worldview, of course it is. That God created you, and God can tell you, don't murder children that I give you. I mean, that he can do that. As a matter of fact, he also has the right to tell you, don't be going and having sex outside of marriage. I mean, he has the right to tell you that. And you disobeyed that and got blessed with a child anyway. All right? That's a giant blessing from God when you deserve destruction for it, right? Like this is like God saying, "Hey, look, I'm gonna give you a child anyway." Like that's huge blessing, and this is the Christian perspective on these issues. Stacy Abrams is pretending to be a Christian, but she is 100% not a Christian. I mean, this is not the way Christians look at this issue. Here's I don't know if this is the video I was looking for. This is one of the times that she stated this, but she doesn't feel like the economy is an issue. The way to fix the economy is by having more abortions. Here's what she says.
Right now, we are walking away so often from the real issues that people care about. Abortion is an economic issue. It's been reduced to this idea of a culture war. But for women in Georgia, this is very much a question of whether they're going to end up in poverty in the next 5 years, because women who are forced to carry unwanted pregnancies end up in poverty within 5. They're 4 times more likely to be impoverished in 5 years. They're twice as likely to be on food stamps. This is an economic issue, and it's being reduced to this culture conversation. We know.
Yeah, that's a Christian. That's a Christian. You know what? Kill your children. You know what? If that's the issue, then why are we stopping parents from killing their children after the children are born? I mean, right? It would save the economy. I mean, what a wonderful thing this would be for parents to be able to murder their children whenever they wanted to, whenever they couldn't pay for them. That's what, I mean, that would be great. That would fix the economy. Of course, it wouldn't fix the economy, but if it would, it still wouldn't make it okay to murder children, right? I mean, this should be a no-brainer for Christians.
And here's the thing. Yes, single motherhood does lead to economic hardships. You know what isn't the solution? Murdering somebody. You know what is? Encouraging people to get married so that you have a father and a mother providing for the child that they just created. Right. This is so stinking backwards. It's not a complicated one, especially for someone who says they're a Christian. It is not complicated. A man, a woman come together, have children, raise them. The reason, assuming on face value her statistics are correct, which that's a dangerous game to play, but let's just grant it for the sake of discussion here. But assuming she's correct about the statistics of mothers who give birth are in such hard times, it's because they're fatherless. Because you don't have the design for the family. So now you've kneecapped the family and said, okay, go make it work. Or kill the children instead.
Yeah.
It's because you attacked, you're trying to do something unbiblical in murder to make up for doing something unbiblical in undoing the family. Like, do we not see the compounding of mistakes we've made across this entire process?
Exactly right. Yeah. All right. Let's let her say a little bit more here in this video, because we're halfway through our response and we've only gotten a quarter of the way through the video. We'll never make it. Let's just continue.
And in the tradition of Esther and Deborah
and Ruth, of Mary and Martha. It took men to break this place. It's going to take a woman to put it right.
Oh, it will take a woman to put it right. I love the way she says that. It's just like, that's powerful just because of the way she said it. I mean, in the tradition of Esther, Esther was not a leader. Esther was scared to death to go speak to the king and had to beg the king to do what she wanted. Oh, Esther was the example that you wanted to go with there. You're running in the example. You're running for the head spot of Georgia in the tradition of Esther, who had to sleep with the king to get to be queen, and then would have been killed if the king didn't pardon her. No, that's probably not a good example there.
And I'm really stinking tired of feminists co-opting female characters in the Bible and trying to make them feminists. Deborah was not an anti-patriarchy feminist blue-haired woman.
She even scolded Barak for wanting her to come with him to the battle.
Right, and she also the one thing I think is pretty safe to take for granted here is that she, when she gives counsel and things of that nature, was doing so from the law. That law that you guys hate with a burning passion. Mm-hmm. The law that gives us all the rules about the authority of husbands and fathers and stuff like that. She was not a feminist. Yeah. Like, you can't just pretend like that's the case. And it doesn't mean, yes, of course there's strong women in the Bible, but the problem is you don't get to just make them your political, hey, I want a woman to make it look like you need a woman to come fix Georgia because I'm a woman. And so men wrecked this thing. What? Like, yeah. What does that even mean?
It took men to wreck it, so it's going to take a woman to make it right. Really? I mean, if we're just going to throw out Bible examples, why don't you run the tradition of Jezebel? I mean, right? She came and fixed everything the men did, right? No, I mean, like,
well, that is kind of their platform, though. To be fair,
that's true. Men and women can both equally be bad and can both equally wreck things. And I mean, I'm not against women running for office, but you can't just say the Bible says that that a woman can come in and fix all the mess that men make. I mean, no, that's
funny. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right. How about a woman? Let's let Amy Coney Barrett come in and fix stuff, right?
Right.
Have a woman come in and fix it? No? Okay. I guess I don't know how the game works. I don't get the rules, I suppose.
They get to make up the rules as they go, whatever is most beneficial for them. This is why. If you ever get invited to play a board game with Democrats, just don't. It's a waste of your time.
It'd be like playing Monopoly with Josh.
No comment. The applause is different.
But we've got 23 days to determine that we deserve more. You see, everything I've listed, every item I itemized, if you go to my website, there's a spreadsheet. And it says that we can do everything I've said without raising a dime in taxes. But they don't want you to believe that because it's easier to scare us into poverty than to help us into prosperity.
Okay, couple problems. First of all, she keeps appealing to this idea of what you deserve. And I think she has a very inflated sense of what humans deserve. We deserve certain rights and liberties, but she's trying to say there's always this natural appeal to people saying, oh, you deserve X, Y, and Z, when half that crap is not stuff you deserve. You don't. You haven't earned it. You haven't, that sort of thing. But more so, this is just on a, I don't know, look at the history kind of deal. She says, without raising a dime in taxes. Well, first of all, inflation is a backdoor tax. So look at the Democrats' track record there. But also, you guys always raise taxes. So why do you say they want to tell us that's not true? Yeah, because that's not what you guys have ever done. You always raise taxes. You always cause inflation and issues with the economy. I mean, why is my gas like $4.50 a gallon right now when it was $2 a gallon a couple years ago?
Go to the places.
We're not stupid.
Go to the places in the country that are run by Democrats. They are just exclusively run by Democrats, and just see if the taxes are high in those places. Yeah, every single one.
very interesting here. I just stumbled across this while I was working on a project for work the other day. Look up a map of the states with the lowest cost of living. And then look up the states, look up a state that, or a map that just maps out all the states and their cost of living, high, low, everything. And then look up an electoral map from a couple years ago, Trump versus Biden. They are almost identical, with only a couple exceptions, that the red states are the states with the lowest cost of living, and the blue states are the states with the highest cost of living. It floored me how insanely accurate that electoral map was in determining cost of living. There's a reason.
Yeah. And here's the thing, as Christian, from the Christian worldview, from the Christian perspective, we love our neighbor enough to not want these types of policies that hurt our neighbor. Now, she's trying to say, well, we can give away more stuff and still not raise any taxes. All right, if you figured out a way to do that, that's what, whatever. But here's the thing. It's not the government's job to give away stuff. That's not the government's job is to protect its citizens, not to give away stuff from from one citizen to give it to another. That's called communism, right? And the Bible's very strong on the idea of property ownership. That's what the commandment says. Thou shalt not steal. That means you have something that is yours. And property ownership is actually a real serious part of the Bible. So the point is that as Christians, we should definitely not want someone like Stacy Abrams as our leader. If you live in Georgia, I would not vote for her. Just no, definitely not. Let's see how much.
And
go ahead, Justin.
Well, just real quick, from a Christian perspective, not all taxation is theft. Like, that's a really dumb thing. All taxation is theft. It's not. The Bible gives plenty of right to the government for taxation, but then there is a limit to that. And when you get beyond that limit, it becomes theft. It really is theft. And we're so far beyond any reasonable limit as far as what the government is taking your money for to do. It has no, like Josh said, there's no right for them to be doing 95% of what the government is involved in now, and you're paying for all of it. And it's not the way you can tell, do you actually own your work, is what happens if you don't give it to somebody else. If I don't give my paycheck, a certain percentage of it, to the government, they will come and take it or throw you in jail. In other words, it's not yours. If you have to keep paying somebody for it, it's not yours. The government is stealing from you. And the more that taxes are raised, the more the government causes inflation, which causes your work to be worth less. That is a form of theft, and it is sin on the government's part.
Yeah.
Not that they don't have any tax rights, but at a certain point, it does get to a sin issue.
Right. Well, let's let her go on, see if we can finish this.
But I reject poverty thinking. I believe that God's grace shines on all of us, but too many of us are in the shadows.
That makes no sense. If it shines on all of us, how are so many of us in the shadows? Like, oh, it's shining on all of us, but a really large person is in front of me, so I'm in their shadow. What does that mean?
That's why I say I'm just and I hate this equally when the right does it. The stupid throw out Christian platitudes or things that sound like Christian platitudes. God's grace shines on all of us. Yeah, tell that to Pharaoh when he was drowning in the Red Sea. That is just not the case. God does have enemies, people who have set themselves against him, and he does set himself against them to destroy them. So it's just not the case. I'll let you decide who God is probably setting himself against in this situation, but anyway, we can move on.
Now, okay, in a general, if you're going to steel man the argument, there is a sense in which everyone who breathes is experiencing grace. They're experiencing favor from God that they don't deserve. Every single person deserves death and eternity in hell.
Common grace, yes.
Every single moment that So, but you have to, what does the statement mean? That God's grace shines on all of us, but we're living in the shadows. Like, what does that even mean? Are you saying that we should have more grace from God if we would act differently? Well, I guess maybe that's what she's trying to say.
What I think she's trying to say, because she said, I reject poverty thinking. God's grace shines on all of us, but some of us are living in the shadows. I think she's going with sort of the prosperity gospel message, where it's God wants you to be wealthy and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And his grace is shining on you to give you the wealth. but you're hiding in the shadow. I think that's what she's going with, but it's just
That's funny
absurd
coming from a
biblically,
Democrat
so.
who wants you to be wealthy so that they can tax you at like 75% or something like that, or 90 or something. Anyway.
I was recently reading the book of Lamentations.
Spit it out.
And it's an interesting 5 books. When you read the 5 chapters, it's about being
5
under
books.
siege.
The 5 books of Lamentations.
It's about
I mean,
Judah.
hey, hang on. To be fair, 2 Corinthians from Trump, or 2 Chronicles, or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
First of all,
Both sides do that crap too.
yeah, but Trump didn't say that in. Well, did he say that in a church? Maybe he did.
He did. I think that was the church that he said he had nothing to repent of in.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, we're not talking about Trump here, although we could.
Well, I'm just trying to say, look, we are fair. We care about the Bible first
Yeah.
and foremost. So
First and
it annoys
foremost.
me when both sides do this.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. All right, Stacy here, though, says that the book of Lamentations is about being under siege. I don't think so. I think it's about them being taken captive. I don't think it's about the siege.
It is.
I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure the whole thing is after the
Well,
siege.
you're talking more Jeremiah if you want to talk about the siege. Lamentations
Yeah.
is the city's on fire and Jeremiah's watching it as they're carried away into captivity.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Being under siege and being told there isn't enough for everyone, so you are going to have to starve. Starve of food, starve of opportunity, starve of freedom. But the book of Lamentations is about reminding us that even in siege, we have an opportunity to see the future, that we have the chance to rise up and have more. And voting is how we do that in a democracy.
I'm sorry. This notion that the Jewish people who are being led away into captivity with fish hooks in their nose marched to a foreign land after their city just got burned to the ground and their neighbors murdered in the streets, that what they were really going is, man, my opportunities. Oh, my opportunities. I was going to identify as a man next year, and now my opportunities are gone. I was going to get a double mastectomy, and I was going to start going by Benjamin, and suddenly my opportunities are gone. That's Lamentations.
Yeah, the whole idea, oh, yeah, even under siege, there are opportunities. No, even under siege, God is going to eventually bring them back. But guess what? Guess who's coming back into the land? Not the people who go out. It's going to be 70 years later.
Yeah.
The people who come back who are alive are almost none. Almost none who leave are coming back. So there's still opportunity. No, you guys are going into slavery, into captivity because of your sin against God, which, by the way, is a pretty good example of where America is right now. I mean, not a bad example there, Stacy, just a bad conclusion. That's all the time we have for today, guys. I wish we had more time to talk about more problems with Stacy Abrams' message, but you'll have to go look it up for yourself. Go check out Woke Preacher clips, and we'll see you next time here on Point of View.